Northern California, Hawaii region. I guess I better bring that music down. And on behalf of my colleague, you guys, many of you know, John Morris, the growth director and regional tech trainer from Maryland, DC region, we're excited to present Take Command of Your Business. And as you are aware, those of you that have attended these classes in the past, each month we do two of these classes on the first Wednesday and the third Monday of every single month. And every session has a different topic. And we often bring in guest presenters and conversations. And today is all about building your business using agent-to-agent referrals and the referrals applet. Now, in a moment, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to just take you through a tour of the referrals applet and a couple tips and tricks that many people just weren't aware exist inside of Command and referrals. I also have a couple top producing agents and ALC members across the country that are using referrals that are going to share with you some best practices that they've found that worked really well for agent-to-agent referrals, tracking referrals, sending, receiving referrals to build their business. And so really excited to dive into that. As always, these classes are highly participatory. So before I ask John to introduce himself for a name to a face as well, go ahead and type into the chat box now. What's your name? Where are you from? Where do you represent buyers and sellers, or maybe even investors, landlords, and renters across the country? This class is all about referrals, agent-to-agent referrals. And I would love for you guys to maybe meet somebody in another city that you do not participate in and build a referral relationship. So go ahead and open up the chat box and type in the city and state, or maybe the metropolitan area where you sell real estate, so that we can connect with each other and ultimately help each other build bigger businesses. John, great to see you, my friend. Would you just introduce yourself for anybody that doesn't know who you are, maybe living underneath a rock, because everyone knows who you are.
About that. My name is John Morris. I am a broker associate in Northern California for the Santa Cruz, Stockton, Tracy, and Lodi market centers. And then I am the regional growth director and the regional technology director for the KW Maryland DC region, as well as a KW instructor as well.
When do you have time to just breathe and sleep?
Well, I work on East Coast time, even though I live on the West Coast. So I can end my day a little bit earlier and take a nap before anybody gets home if I wanted to. Usually doesn't happen though.
Oh, that's great. Good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and I want to just take you guys through a quick little tour of referrals. And John, you can chime on in if there's anything you want to add to the conversation with this. And I will go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me just one second. Inside of Command, naturally, agent.kw.com is how you access Command. On the left-hand side, you have all of your applets. The fifth applet down is the one with a little pin and a contact or a picture of a person inside there. That's our referrals applet. This applet inside Command is designed, it was one of the first applets to really be built out inside Command. It's designed to help you track by sending and receiving agent-to-agent referrals. Now, because Keller Williams is massive in scale, we have 160,000 agents, I think, in North America at this given time. We represent a lot of real estate transactions. And I say we, I mean you, our associates. I don't know if you knew this, Keller Williams actually closes approximately 11% of all residential real estate in the United States. 11%. In fact, if you were to take the top 3 producing companies other than Keller Williams and add them together, they barely match what Keller Williams is doing, what you guys are doing as an agent level. And so what that means is, naturally, Keller Williams is sending and receiving more agent-to-agent referrals than any other company out there. We have the largest referral network, and today is all about you maximizing your exposure in that referral network. When you click on referrals, it will take you to your dashboard. This is where you've got the green button, your action items, where you can send out a referral to somebody, or you can actually send a referral specifically to anybody that's in your network. Now, if you want to search for someone in your network, you can search for them here, or you can grow your network by searching for agents on the interactive map. Because Keller Williams is a technology company, we track every single referral being sent and received. That's why I absolutely love this map feature. A lot of agents don't come in here and play all that often. Many that I speak to, they came in here a year ago when they first started using Command, and they played with it, and then they just stopped. I'd encourage you to block out time in your calendar once a month to just come in and explore the referral network. A couple things that are really, really helpful. I'm going to go ahead. I'm in the Sacramento region in Northern California. So I'm just going to type into the city name. And by the way, if you have maybe a client who's selling a house in another city, you might take the opportunity to go find producing agents in that particular area. When I search for Sacramento, naturally, the interactive map is going to take me right over the greater Sacramento area. Now, every number and every pin on this map represents a real estate transaction closed in the last 12 months by a Keller Williams associate. This is really helpful information to see the transactions that are happening. Now, on the right-hand side, we have a list of 766 Keller Williams agents that closed at least one transaction in this map area. Now, I'm going to just scroll in a little bit. I'm going to go to downtown Sacramento. You'll see a lot of those pins with numbers now start turning into individual dots that riddle throughout the whole screen, all the different transactions. As you can see, this interactive map has now drilled down the area to the 80 Keller Williams associates that have actually closed a transaction in this area. So when you have a client that's looking to sell or buy in an area that you don't represent, this becomes a really valuable tool because, of course, your fiduciary duty through your relationship with your client or that person in your sphere of influence is to associate them with an agent that's going to represent them at a very high level. Who else other than the agents that are actually closing transactions in the area where they're looking to buy or sell? And this allows you to do exactly that. Now, this list on the right-hand side is completely random. You'll notice there's a sort option on the right-hand side. In fact, I'm going to turn on my little mouse halo, make it a little easier to see right there. If I actually click that drop-down arrow, I can sort this by a series of different things, alphabetical by first name, last name, but then down towards the bottom is the parts that I really love. If I've got a listing referral in a city that I don't represent in, I would come to that area or that city on this map, and I would click into the listing sold section. Now, this list is now sorted by the agents, Keller Williams Associates, that sold the most amount of listings in this map area. Starts with Ricky O'Neill, then Michael Soares, then Parm Atwall, then Bobby Peterson, Olivia Barrett, as we go on down the list. A couple of action items you can take from here. You can start inviting these agents into your referral network, making it easier to send and receive referrals back and forth between these particular agents. Or you can actually send them a referral without even inviting them to your network. Think of inviting them to your network kind of like liking a Facebook page. You're not necessarily in their database and they're not in your database, just like if you friend request somebody on Facebook, they're not necessarily in your sphere of influence. However, now you have this connection. John, anything I missed that you would point out here?
Well, I would basically just say a couple things is that if you really want to validate what somebody's doing, you can click that drop down to see what their production levels look like. That way, you know if they've truly done some stuff in that particular area. And so I really like being able to do that because it can validate it. Unfortunately, we see a lot of agents asking for referrals on Facebook, and then that turns into a popularity contest. We all know that there are some groups out there that basically have not referred any business to somebody, but they help each other get referrals by commenting on those posts. So that's not, this, I really like this method because now it allows me to go in and see who's really doing transactions in an area where I want to send people to. One other thing too that you might want to consider is, like I know in my region, we have some expansion teams, and not a knock against any of the expansion teams because they do great business, but they might not necessarily know the area very well. They just have a big business. And so they're doing a lot of production maybe in that particular area. If I want somebody that's really a neighborhood expert, instead of clicking on production on the top left, if you click by market center, then you can find a market center that is on the top left. There's that. So change that from production to market center. Then that's going to show the market centers that are closest to the area. If you zoom out a little bit, and then that way you can find somebody that is actually in a market center that's closest to the area where you actually want to send the referral to. So you're more likely to get somebody that has a lot of knowledge about that specific area as well. Other thing that I would just point out, and I encourage people to do this all the time, spend about 5 or 10 minutes a day in this referral applet and just start looking at building a network of referral agents all over the United States. And then as you get those people into your system, make sure that they're in your contacts and then add them to smart plans and put those agents on a 36 touch. Because if you become purposeful about adding 4 or 5 agents every single day to your database, and then you start hitting them 36 times every year, you're going to have a pretty darn good referral based business in the course of 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Don't be like every other agent where you just invite people into your network, but don't actually connect with them. I love what John said, and that is to create an actual audience of the agents that you want to be able to communicate with systematically. And don't be like everyone else and just shoot them an email saying, hey, I'm your favorite neighborhood realtor in the Sacramento County of California, and I would love all of your referrals. I'm never too busy for that, and I will absolutely send you referrals when I've got them in your area. Everyone does that. Do what John said and create a 36 touch with some really fun, interesting pieces of information about your market in the area. That way, when an agent in Little Rock, Arkansas has a client who's moving to Sacramento, they can speak intelligently about your market or whatever market that is. And now all of a sudden, they're more likely to convert those referrals. And then, of course, they're going to think of you when they're ready to refer that agent, naturally. Yeah. Chris, and I think you raise your hand. Oh, go ahead, John.
Really quick though, I think that this is an area, because a lot of times I talk to newer agents that say, hey man, how do I compete with established agents? Most established agents aren't even doing this. So you have the ability to go in right now, start building that network out, make sure that you're giving them high value, hyper local content 36 times a year, and you're going to start seeing some referrals.
Bingo. Chris.
One thing that I like to do, I haven't made time yet, but I plan on doing it, is using the referral map, which way they, the
referral patterns.
Pattern map, yes.
Yes, and I'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay, never mind then.
No, it's okay. Finish your thought.
So my plan is to use that. So from Pleasanton, Livermore, my market center, I look at where they're going to and where they're coming from, and then try and really target those particular areas first with trying to work on that plan that you've got, that you just mentioned there, of getting in contact with them.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. We're going to take everyone there next, Chris. But before I do that, now I scrolled into this area and I'm under production for the drop down or the key on this particular map search. So again, I've got 84 agents that have closed a transaction in this area. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more and watch what happens to this number 84. As I zoom in, that number just dropped to 30. Also, not only did this number change, this little button became available. The broadcast referral. I'm going to zoom back out. Notice broadcast referral is now locked out. Once you get to a certain threshold of agents, and I don't remember that number off the top of my head, John or Chris, is it 50? It's moved a couple times.
I think it's 50.
I think it's 50 right now. But if you just zoom in and once you get to that threshold, this broadcast becomes available. What that is if you have a group of agents and maybe your priority is to get that referral under an agreement as quickly as possible, you can actually broadcast a message to every one of these 25 agents, and they'll all receive a notification, both an email and a Kelly notification, that they've got an anonymous referral request. And they'll be able to see the information that you put in. So when I click referral, it's now it puts my name here. Notice that it's hidden so that all 25 of these agents won't see that the anonymous referral came from me, because the last thing I want is 25 agents beating down my voicemail box or my email trying to apply for that referral. And then, of course, hold me accountable when I send it to someone else and they feel like they might have gotten cheated out of a referral or anything like that. I then go in and put a minimum price, maximum price, and notes that are associated with that. Now, down below, you'll notice this information is going to be completely confidential. So your agent name is confidential, and then the information below the gold bar is confidential. The only thing all the agents are going to see is whether or not it's a buyer or seller, tenant or landlord, what the referral fee you're asking for is, what the acceptance deadline is, 24 hours, and then minimum price, maximum price, and your note. Then you can go in and actually attach your contact that's going to be associated with this referral. Good news is no agent is ever going to see your contact's information until after you've rewarded or awarded the agent who applied to take this referral. Then you can push that contact information right over to them. So that's that broadcast feature. Works really well. Again, anonymously, all 25 of the agents are going to receive a broadcast. They'll see the information that was in the white in the middle, and all the confidential information will be controlled by you to go out to them when you want to award them the referral. You might put in a referral, broadcast it out saying 25%, this is a $700,000 house. It's an investor that will probably buy more houses in the future. And then all of a sudden an agent comes back to you and says, I'll raise your 25% referral fee to 40% if I get to continue working for them on all of their future investments. And then another agent comes back and says, I love it for 25%. Now you've got a negotiating place. And of course, you now have an opportunity to get a larger referral fee because the agents applied to become your referral partner in that transaction. So really great way to send referrals, see agents in a particular area. Now, I want to actually show exactly what Chris was talking about. Because
really quick though, Zach.
Yes.
Before you go,
ahead,
I just want, I want to point out one thing before you head off of this page. Is now, if you look underneath the names of the agents that are there, you can see the ones that are on teams, and then the ones that don't have that are solo agents. And the reason I just want to point that out is I know a lot of times agents will want to refer business to solo agents because they want to have one point of contact, rather than maybe sometimes referring it to a team where you don't know exactly what team member you're going to get or who's going to work it. So if you prefer to send it to a solo agent, that's how you can tell who's a solo agent or who's a team agent. Other thing is, and then that'll wrap it up for what I want to say, is if you click on that team name, it'll actually give you a list of all the team members that are on that person's team as well.
Love it. Thank you for adding that in, John. Okay, that
Hey,
leads
Zach.
us to, oh yes, go ahead. Who was that?
It's Charlie.
Charlie.
Just wanted to let you know when I do that, I make a point of clicking those teams so that I can find out which team member is actually doing the business, because inevitably, if it's a fairly large team, you'll have one or two that are doing the bulk of the business. And if you're looking for a particular person that's strong in an area, buyer or seller, you might want to gravitate toward that and send that referral directly, or at least have that conversation with the team leader about who they place it with.
I love that, Charlie. So I just actually clicked into a team, the Sora's team. There you can see each individual agent on the team and who's closing transactions. And you could actually send the referral specifically to an agent on the team if you wanted to as well.
Yeah, when I was at Remax for 22 years, they had a really nice referral network, but the main difference was that you as an agent, when you put your information out there, you could claim that you did business in a particular area, but you couldn't prove it. And when I came here, this was a game changer.
I love that. Yeah, there's no manipulating the numbers on this. These are actually proven closed transactions inside the Keller Williams ecosystem. Yvette, I see you raised your hand.
Quick question, Zach. I might have missed it on the referral. Are we able to find someone, let's say on a ALC committee or any other specific
There is a list of different specializations here, and one of the specializations, unfortunately, is not ALC. But if I wanted to come in and look for an agent that's designated as a luxury agent or a commercial agent or land or KWIP expansion, I know that they're already toying with the idea, and they're going to be rolling out additional specializations, and I believe ALC is on the map for that. What I would do if I were you, and that's something that's important to you, when you click on an agent's name, it will actually bring you into the agent's bio. And oftentimes agents will actually talk about how they serve on the ALC in this particular bio or area where you can see additional information as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great question. Okay, that leads us to referral patterns. So again, we're inside of referrals, and we went to the map, the interactive map, and I just selected referral patterns instead of production. I'm going to actually go into Pleasanton because Chris had mentioned that earlier. Now, you can search referral patterns for any city of the primary market center. So we only track referrals from market center to market center. So that's just important to be aware of. In other words, I couldn't go in and say, I want to see all of the referrals that are being sent in and out of Lodi, because the Lodi office is actually in the Stockton Market Center. It's a business center of the market center. So that's just one little nuance to be aware of. Now, when I search for Pleasanton, which is Chris Oliver's home market center, and Chris was mentioning this earlier, this now shows the top 20 cities of referrals being sent from Pleasanton to each of these market centers. Now I can see that map, a visual on the map, and then I can scroll over each of the different market center names and be able to see the location of each of those. Some people may be surprised that Albuquerque, New Mexico has a lot of referrals going from Pleasanton out to Albuquerque. Now, as an agent, most of you are going to find more value in seeing incoming referrals instead of outgoing referrals, because this is a business building conversation. So after searching for referral patterns, you're just going to click this button here that says received. Notice all the arrows just flipped. Now you can see which top market centers or cities of market centers, the top 20 that are sending referrals from the market center into your market center. Boise, Idaho is sending a lot of agents in Boise, Idaho are sending referrals to agents in Pleasanton, for instance. Knowing that both Boise, Atlanta, and Sacramento are the top 3 cities sending referrals in, Chris Oliver can now come in and search for agents, producing agents in Boise, for instance, and now can go get super purposeful about finding the top producing agents by coming in, looking at closed units, and now putting maybe the top 5 or top 6 agents in a particular marketplace on a 36 touch to just establish mind share with these agents so that when they send a referral next time to Pleasanton, they couldn't imagine sending it to anyone but Chris. Chris, anything you do any differently when it comes to the referral patterns?
No, I haven't created a smart plan yet to automate that, but that's on the plan.
Love that. Now I want to open this up to everybody on the call. I'd be really curious for those of you that have been using referrals, if you've had a lot of great success with this. Now, about 2.5 years ago, when referrals first launched, it was one of the first baked applets inside of Command. I was traveling all around the country teaching Command, and I was having a conversation with some top producing agents in Northern California, right here in the region that I live in and work in. And there was an agent in Oakland that came up to me after the class and said, I just want to let you know that referrals has changed my world. I said, tell me more about that. She said, well, I just made a point every single day to spend 5 minutes inside my Kelly app and go and invite new people into my referral network. And then I just go and I would check it on religiously to make sure that I was receiving any broadcasted referrals. This agent just made it her one thing that she was going to make sure she checked Kelly. Now the notification bell, you can do it in Kelly. You can also see it in the notification bell in Command. Every day she would just look for broadcast referrals. She said over the course of the 90 days that she initiated that, just going in and applying for every single referral that was being broadcast to her area, within 90 days, she had closed $100,000 in GCI that she would not have closed if it wasn't for the referral applet. That's $100,000 in income from complete strangers that all she had to do was just see the notification and basically raise her hand and then close the deal. I want you to think, what would $100,000 in additional GCI do for you in the next 90 days? I would be willing to bet it would change a lot of your worlds. It would allow you to hire that new assistant that you've been looking to hire. It would allow you to bring on a showing assistant so you're not spending as much time traveling around with buyers at this given moment. Get purposeful about anything that might actually help your business grow, and the referral applet could be that one thing. Now, just a second ago, before I started that story, I asked you who's had success. Does anybody want to share maybe a referral that they've received from a complete stranger through the referrals applet, or maybe something that you were able to track by sending a referral out to another agent? I love hearing stories from agents around the country that are using referrals.
Well, I've used
Chris.
I've used it a little bit. I've got family, extended family members who are real estate investors here in Northern California. And my wife and I, we've been in charge of selling their properties. And they take 1031 exchanges and they go out of state. They're trying to eliminate all their California properties. Well, majority of them anyway. My in-laws have now like dual residences here in Northern California as well as near Nashville, Tennessee. So they do a lot of investing in Tennessee. And my in-laws, I have a step brother-in-law that also lives in Tennessee, and he does more investing, and he does in Florida, North Carolina, and Arizona, and some other states, Texas, I think. And we were able to, in his particular case, last fall, we sold 2 houses in Union City for a total of 1.9 million, and referred him, which we found agents in North Carolina and 2 in Florida through the referral network. And he ended up buying 5 different properties. And so I got 5 little referral checks from him last year. My father-in-law, we sold a townhome here in Livermore for about $565. He turned that into 2 single-family homes in Tennessee. His cash flow increased more than $1,000 a month, and I got 2 little referral checks. So it works.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to ask you something. I have no idea what the answer is. Your family member that you ended up referring to an agent that you had never actually worked with previously and had basically no relationship with,
right? You
chose them based on data alone. Did
Correct.
Your family member have a good experience with them?
Yes, they did. And
good.
With my stepbrother-in-law, in fact, the 2 Florida and the North Carolina agents, everything was done virtually. He never set foot in any of those homes. He bought all those replacement investment properties virtually.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Chris.
Yep.
Now,
if Chris can do it, you can do it. Charlie, I'm sorry, what's that?
I said my most recent one was down to Florida, and I tend to be a little bit more in depth when I do that. So there was a large team in the Ocala area. I talked to the team leader and requested the buyer agent on his team based on the numbers. And then I called that person and talked to her, and it turned out to be a really good fit. It sounded like on the phone, and when they got down there, they had nothing but praise. So I mean, it's a good tool to be able to have to do your research first and then just confirm with a conversation as to their availability, how busy they are, whether they have a particular weekend available, because these folks are coming down to buy a house on a particular weekend. And I said, I don't want to get you down there and then have somebody that's not available for the weekend.
That's so
Worked
good.
out great.
Nice.
Zach, can I share?
Yvonne, please do.
Okay. I've had quite a few, both in and give out. The one I wanted to share with and give encouragement to our for the newer agents. Uh-oh, can you hear me okay?
We got them muted. We can hear you great.
Oh, okay. This was about before COVID. So let's call it 2 years ago for my friend up north. I'm in California. And it happened to be a brand new agent. And I said, oh, okay. But she said, but I have my mentor and she's going to be with me every step of the way. And so I took a step of faith because we all had to start somewhere. And it was the best experience because that agent was on top of as much as she could. And, of course she learned and I kept in touch. And so newer agents, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and let the person know that, hey, I've got my mentor right next to me or my coach, whoever it may be. That's going to be with me every step of the way. And the mentor called me and said, hey, I just want to vouch for her and I'll be with her every step of the way. So I thought that was great.
That's wonderful, Yvonne. Thank you for sharing that. We all had our first transaction at some point. And if we think back at that one agent that gave us an opportunity to go and do the things that we could do, that's what made you all the incredible agents that you are today. It's just so good. Now, I do want to go a little bit different direction with this conversation. Here's what we know. Every single one of you have access to your agent sites. Your KW agent sites powered by Command. Those are something unique in our industry. And what I mean by that, many of you are already aware of this, you have the ability for your friends, your family, your sphere of influence to search for real estate in 98% of the MLSs across the country, which means that you now have the ability as a Keller Williams associate, no other company has this. You now have the ability for your friends, your family, your people that you would typically refer out to another agent to be able to nurture them further down the transaction process by them just staying on your website and performing searches in that area. Now, naturally, you're going to have to refer them to a local licensed agent in order to start showing properties and things like that. If every single one of your referrals is being sent out at a 25% referral fee, I would challenge you to think a little bit differently. I would challenge you to ask yourself, is there some type of value that you could be providing your friends and family, your sphere of influence, to nurture their relationship further down the real estate transaction so that you could be asking 40% referral fee in exchange for passing their contact information over to another agent? And before you completely shut down and say, oh no, nobody pays 40% referral fees, I'll guarantee you there are agents in your marketplace that are paying 40% referral fees to Zillow. If you're in a major metropolitan area, Zillow is charging 40% conversion rates for referrals. These are internet leads. Think of it this way. When you take your mother-in-law who's buying an investment property in an area, 1031ing out of the area, and you are literally hand selecting an agent for them to go work with, you're not handing them a cold lead. If you handed them a cold lead that might be selling a house in Nashville, Tennessee, I could see you asking for a 25% referral fee. However, when you're setting them up, you're basically teeing up an appointment for an absolute closing. I would argue that that referral is probably worth more like 35, 40, maybe even 50%, because you're literally setting the appointment for them. Your family member wouldn't hire any other realtor, and they're hiring that realtor because of you. A 25% referral fee probably isn't enough in those scenarios. Now, prior to agent sites coming out, it was very difficult for you to be able to ask for more than 25% referral fee because your clients would end up going to Zillow or Redfin or realtor.com to do searches in Nashville because you weren't a member of that MLS. Then their contact information was sold to a bunch of different agents down there and making it much harder for you to basically capture that referral fee. And by the way, your client deserves it when you can actually set them up with a really great relationship with an agent that's going to serve them at a very high level, as opposed to a complete stranger that Zillow decided to sell their contact information to. So I'm not saying that you're selling yourself short. I'm just wanting to challenge you a little bit that if you have the ability to nurture relationships further down the transaction, because you have an agent site that allows your clients to search for real estate in 98% of the MLSs, you have an opportunity to think differently about your referrals when you're sending them to agents in different marketplaces.
Exactly. There was one of the agents that we referred to in Florida actually offered 30% without even, it hadn't even come up yet. It was just an automatic, well, I do 30%.
Yeah, and then Dean brings up a good point in the chat box. I mean, right now, I don't know how valuable a referral is on a buyer, considering there's lots of buyers out there and not enough houses. You got a listing referral, I guarantee you that's worth a lot more than 25% right now.
Especially if you help set up the conversation prior to even passing the referral. You have a conversation with your sphere of influence, this person who's going to sell their house in Nashville, for instance, and you say, look, here's what I need you to know. I'm going to put you in touch with an incredible agent that knows how to sell listings. What I need you to do is take their advice. They're going to understand pricing in this market. And if you take their advice, I can almost guarantee you this house is going to sell for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Do you trust me? And they say, of course I trust you. This is why you're the best realtor in the whole wide world. And you say, great, I'm going to put you in touch with an incredible agent. Now you reach out to that listing agent in the area and you say, hey, I just want to let you know I've got a referral coming your way. They said, awesome. You say, but this isn't a normal referral. One, I've already set up the appointment for you. You just have to pick a time and they're going to sign a listing agreement for you. Two, I've already set up the conversation so that they don't actually fight you on price. I set you up as the local neighborhood expert where you pick the price to sell their house for the least amount of money or least amount of time for the most amount of money. And then this agent is like, holy crap, this is the best referral ever. And you're going to say, yes. How about 45%? All you got to do is show up and sign the listing contract, put the sign in the yard and put it in the MLS. And now you've got a negotiating place with this agent. Yeah. Dean, you just turned your camera on and looked like you were going to add something to this as well.
No, I just powerful stuff. I think like in 2020, I think I sent about 5 referrals out, a few being listings, and I never thought of that. So Zach, that's a good aha and like a good mindset change for me. So I appreciate that a lot.
My
I'd like to
pleasure.
add, I actually went through this whole experience 5 days ago, and I got a 35% referral for a seller in Utah. We sold their home here. They're moving to Utah. They have another home in Utah that want to sell. Done deal. He negotiated through the app, and I said no, and he came back and did 35%. Done deal.
Through the referrals app on Command, Ray?
I did it in the referral. I showed my screen. It's literally in the referral. I sent the referral. I searched 3 different agents. One didn't respond. So that lived right on the same street. So he was literally right there. So yeah, no problem. Sounds great.
Oh, awesome, dude. I like this story.
Great to see you, Ray. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. Remember, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent tells us you should be getting 2 additional transactions for every listing you take. A 40%, 45% referral fee isn't unacceptable or unacceptable if they know they're going to get 2 more transactions, and top agents in an area know they can get 2 more transactions for every listing that they take.
There's one more tip or little trick that I do when after the referral housing or the investment properties close. I add those neighborhoods to my clients' contact record for their neighborhood nurture so they can keep track of what those neighborhoods are doing.
I love that. I'm going to interpret what I heard Chris say, and I might be wrong here, but Chris said he sent out a referral. That referral then bought a house in that particular area. He didn't assume that the agent that he sent the referral to is going to put them onto a monthly neighborhood nurture with that neighborhood. So Chris then assigned that neighborhood, the new neighborhood that the referral or the contact actually bought in, so that he can keep them up to date with everything that's going on in that marketplace. Because if he just assumes that that agent is going to stay in touch with his client forever, he might be missing out on a future referral. Because let's be honest, there's like a 40 to 60% chance that that agent isn't in the business anymore 5 years later, when his client that he already referred out is ready to go buy or sell another house. Now he captured another referral.
It did the same thing. Did the same thing with my people going to Ocala. I actually set that up before they went. They narrowed down the properties they wanted to see on that particular weekend, and then once they closed, they just still had that in their system, and I continue to drip on them with the updates from the search that was already set up before they ever went.
Here's the real question, Charlie. Were your clients horse riders or golfers? Because it had to be one of those two.
Neither.
No one moves to Ocala that doesn't ride a horse or play golf.
Retirees.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. By the way, my neighbors moved to Ocala a couple years ago, and they were the first people I'd ever met that moved to Ocala that neither ride a horse or play golf. For those of you that don't know, Ocala is a retirement community outside of Gainesville, Florida, that has some of the most prestigious golf courses and equestrians areas and ranches. High density golfers and equestrian people.
Exactly. Your last class that you taught, you mentioned setting up a campaign for someone where they grew up, where they live now, and then where they would love to live. I think that's super amazing. That's great.
Good. I'm really glad you found value there, Ray. And just to spark some interest with anybody, what we talked about in Smart Database for the last Take Command class, and it was co-facilitated by Jason Flynn. I talked about my tip, which is assigning at least 4 neighborhoods to every contact when you put them on a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. The 4 neighborhoods that Ray had just kind of referenced was the neighborhood that they live in now, the neighborhood that they would move to next, the neighborhood they grew up in, and the neighborhood of their dreams. When you play to their reality, their future, their nostalgia, and their dreams, you're more likely to develop mind share with your sphere of influence. And that bi-weekly neighborhood nurture will now keep them up to date with their reality, their future, their nostalgia, and their dreams. I'm so glad you found value there. All right, guys. We are going to be ending just 15 minutes early. Unless you guys have any questions or anything else you want to add, I want to give you some time back to your day so that you can go leverage the referral network to go take more territory and send and receive more referrals for a better referral fee that drives right back to your bottom line in your business. As always, stay safe, stay healthy out there. On behalf of John Morris, the Growth Director and Regional Technology Director for Maryland, DC, and myself, Zach, in Northern California, Hawaii region, aloha. Thank you. Go take more territory, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.